I've had this space in my mind for like 5 years. When I was just looking at graduate programs and like looking at this program, I looked at the Joseph Gross Gallery and was like, that's where I'm having my thesis show.
So this is a quick tour starting at the very front of my apartment. Begin with just messy studio table over here. My name is KENZIE Wells. I am a third year in the Masters of Fine Arts program here at the University of Arizona. And my predicament is that my thesis show for graduation that I've been working on this entire year has been questionably canceled, but as of right now, it's postponed.
The MFA show is always a wildly ambitious endeavor. I've been here 4.5 years. Every year I've been really impressed with the students' ability to bring forward really large-scale projects in exciting ways.
Right now, I expected to be actually at this moment in the museum installing my thesis show.
Which is kind of like the culmination of what we work toward as grad students.
The thesis show for grad students in the School of Art is like, it's the dissertation. Like, that's the point.
This developed so rapidly and the news was changing so much every day.
So it just kept unfolding. Like, we got new information every day.
Suddenly we start getting these emails.
The emails, like millions of emails.
And then the next day, it's like thesis is being postponed.
Every day it was worse.
The day after that, it's like, we have to close the studios.
My heart just sank.
My thesis work, which for me specifically has been, a culmination of 3 years worth of work.
You have to acknowledge the disappointment, right, that happens as a result of realizing that certain plans are not going to be able to come to fruition in the way that they were originally imagined.
I also had a moment of panic, like I'm not sure what to do. I just graduated. There's no job to be found. A lot of my friends did actually leave. I stayed, I felt very alone, but at the same time I knew if I had like gotten in my car and left, I'd be going to nothing.
Even though the exhibition couldn't happen around its originally imagined timeframe, it was really critical for everybody involved that the exhibition still happen. And so what we're looking at about 14 months later is the realization of that commitment that was made on the part of everybody involved to see this through.
Wow. Hi. Oh. Nice job, congrats. Thank you. It's up. It's finally up.
For the past 5 years that I've been here, I've been working with environmental research and an environmental science laboratory, labor organizers that were involved in mining communities. And so through those interactions, I was able to create this experience that highlight rural stories in Arizona and rural mining community member stories in Arizona.
One of the pictures I took from like up on that road. I think you can see your house from here. I was looking.
That's why it's so important to be able to schedule these viewings and actually have people that have contributed to the project come in and see it and interact with it in a more engaged way. It's so satisfying when you're waiting and something has so much buildup. It's been a huge accomplishment. So I'm so grateful to be here and to actually get it out there finally.
So this is the Alice Chayton Baker Interdisciplinary Gallery. It's our brand new gallery at the Center for Creative Photography. It was supposed to open in April of 2020, and it was going to begin with the MFA students in 2020. And so this is an opportunity for them to come back a year later and are poetically going to be the first installation that we have now. A lot of students, especially contemporary artists, are thinking about installation as an important part of their practice, right? So in order to have it actually installed in the gallery is to fully realize the pieces.
My project, essentially what it is, basically I was taking different photographic images and turning them into graphic musical scores by putting the lines of a staff over the images and having them interpreted by 11 different musicians. This is a little kind of magazine. You just hover over the QR code it should open a little video, and then you can see the musician performing. So what's happening in these boxes is you can see live improvisations of the scores by different musicians playing on the back of the box. I wanted to really create a space that kind of felt like you were able to enter a different space, like a more surreal space. Also just like a really funny time to be making such interactive work right when COVID started, and then kind of finding out, like, are we really gonna be interacting with artworks like anymore? So it feels really good to actually just have had even just a few people coming and all interacting with the work. That was like the best part so far.
I studied environmental humanities actually in college. And so going to art school for a graduate program was kind of a big leap. Putting the show on was definitely extra meaningful for me in particular, because I feel like this is the first body of work that I felt comfortable showing, that I was like excited to show. It started with my grandmother getting sick. One of the last times that I ever saw her, I started to take photographs of the shadows of the trees that were in her neighborhood. And I started exploring that visually, just like looking at different ways to represent just the tree shadows, kind of divorced from the tree itself. And I was starting to connect it to my grief for losing the forests and this kind of larger, what we call ecological grief. So I was very interested in the kind of like gradations of black and white and the interplay of light, and kind of making the perspective seem very confusing. To me, it's very intimate, and it really sucks to like be denied, you know, having other people be able to experience that intimacy with the work that I created.
It's wild to see it actually unfold in such a kind of clean and cohesive way. But I do think there's something very specific about being in grad school that pushes you so far to the point where sometimes you want to scream, you know, sometimes it's too much, but that drive and that push are definitely like things I wouldn't have personally gotten unless I did grad school. A lot of the pieces in the show offer that sort of idea about bathrooms or bathing or looking at yourself in the mirror, all those things that you do to care for yourself. As much as you try to do that with something like trauma, it's always going to be there, no matter what. Physical exhibition for this type of work is extremely important. One of the biggest materials I use is iridescence. The moving liquid nature of so many surfaces in this show can't necessarily be grasped unless you're like walking physically around it. Even a video wouldn't quite capture like seeing your own reflection in this and then being like, oh, like I can see myself in that experience as well. And that relatability is very much internal and physical.
This is the first time that we've had anyone back in our space, and to be able to see it come to life in this way, and especially in our brand new gallery, has been kind of that horizon line that we've all been looking for.
For them to come back and commit to this exhibition in the same way we would have seen them commit to it had they still been fully immersed in the program, that was pretty amazing to watch. I'm not sure I know of any other university nationwide that I've heard of that's followed through in that way with MFA thesis exhibition that was canceled because of COVID.
And we didn't know when it would be able to happen, if ever, just because the world was kind of on hold. But it really does kind of provide that closure that I think a lot of us have been waiting for this past year.